All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another Forever webinar. Today, I have two very special guests, Jeff Mendoza and Joe Walsh here. They are two of our really great key account reps. I travel with them a lot. They are very, very knowledgeable in the industry. So I'm glad to have them here. And today, we're going to be talking about large format insights and strategies. So thank you guys for joining me. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Joe. Jeff, you want to start off and introduce yourself for a little bit?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jose. And by the way, it's a pleasure to travel with you as much as we have with you.
I know.
Yeah, my name's Jeff Mendoza. I'm a key account manager here on the Western region. Been in print business for about 13 years now, in two different companies, 2 years here with Forever, and have really enjoyed the time of getting to know our customers and, again, working with this great team and my counterpart, Joe, over there on the East Coast. So I'll turn it over to you, Joe, to introduce yourself.
Yeah, like Jeff said, I'm a key account manager on the East Coast. I probably have around 3,000 franchises that I manage. And let's see, what else? I've been in the print industry for about 14 years and in print and marketing for about 30 years total. So I've seen sort of how print works and I've seen how print is utilized. So I'm looking forward to talking about large format and what you can do to make your business successful.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Yeah, and I think, one thing I do want to stress is that I've traveled with these guys as well. We've been to, I think, a total of maybe 50, close to 50 shows in the past couple years. So there's a lot of interfacing with the larger customer base. So we're going to reveal some hopefully key tidbits that you guys can really use. It's specifically to large format. So first off, I'll start off with the first question, that I kind of wrote up for you guys. So large format in the past has really been a very trending, category, especially for Forever. It's been on the rise. A lot of industries use it. Do you see that still happening within the industry? Do you see that with your customers? Is it still something that people are interested in expanding? Jeff, you can start off. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, coming out of the pandemic, people needed to really advertise that they were open, what their new structure looked like, whether it was restaurants and hospitality. Real estate has been a big part of this as far as using large format. And we saw that increase tremendously, again, coming out of the pandemic. That's really not slowed down at all. We've seen the large format category continue to expand. I think people are recognizing that there's an opportunity for them to really tell the story about their business in just a real quick look and a one shot as customers are driving by, letting them know what their products and services are. So we are, that's still a growth industry for us, and we love helping people, find solutions for that.
Joe, what are you seeing?
I see, people think of printers as business cards, flyers, postcards, things like that. And then they stop at that point and they don't think outside of the box, like, what else can I do? What else are these people doing? So we've been focusing on taking the printing franchises and selling them on a vertical strategy where if someone's buying business cards and postcards like a hospital, they're also, if you look around a hospital, you also see a bunch of posters, retractables, flyers, brochures, things like that, as well as other large format things like acrylic and aluminum dye sublimation. So there's a lot more to a hospital than just the paper that they use. And the same thing for retail and labor services, like even, lawn care and things like that. They use coroplast signs and that gets their name out there. So you never even think of marketing to someone that's mowing lawns or paving a driveway or doing a roof. But as you've seen more and more, when people do that kind of service, the first thing they do is they plant a coroplast sign on that person's lawn advertising the craft that they did for that person. So that's getting their name out there for not very much money if you look at the coroplast prices.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point for the viewers today, which is you don't really know what the customer wants, or they don't even know what they want, right? It's good to ask those additional questions above and beyond what they are actually doing with you as a particular customer, or even what they come up with for their marketing plan, right? If our customers are a better, more filled out marketing service, right? Not only kind of concentrating on that certain niche that they're already doing business with their customers, asking those additional questions for them may reveal those other opportunities, like you said with the yard signs. Like, you might not think about it, but and large format, I think, is a pretty good one to ask those additional questions.
Yeah. And, Jose, I think one of the things that really has helped as well is when customers understand that it doesn't require a ton of file setup outside. If you're already selling business cards and postcards, the file setup is basically the same. So you can increase your stickiness, if you will, with your customers, or the amount of products that you offer your communities by simply letting them know that you have large format capabilities. And again, it doesn't require a ton of graphic design to be able to pull that off. So
and stickiness, for those who don't know, is more like how much the customer is going to come back to you, right? It's kind of like this adhesive that is like kind of expanding and contracting, and they the more stickiness you have, the more they're going to come to you, the more they trust you, the more loyalty they have. So I think that's super important. It's good that you said that. It's super important to increase that stickiness with your customers.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Jose, real quick, think about a promo, a store or customer. They're selling cups and hats and pens and things like that to customers that are doing a lot of other things, including business cards, but including, retractable banners and posters and things like that for their business too. If you're a promo store or broker even, selling them all of those promo products, how much stickier are you if they can stop by and get their posters and banners and acrylics and clings from you as well for a price that's as competitive as anybody's, if not better.
Yeah, very true. And actually, based on that, good you said that. It's a good segue into the next question, which is, do you see the large format margins increasing for your customers? So we're talking about the profitability of it, right? In the past, it has been pretty good for a large format, where our customers and customers in general could increase their margins dramatically by offering some large format materials, especially in the kind of banners and signage categories. Do you see that increasing, decreasing? Like, what do you guys see? Jeff, we'll start with you.
Yeah, thank you. I think, the great thing about large format is when you're looking at a commodity item like a business card or even postcard flyers, those sorts of things, you knowing what your market will bear as far as pricing goes. And I know we'll talk about retail pricing here in a minute, but there's a lot of competition in that space. And so your markups, your margins are going to be a little tighter. Whereas with large format, and you look at the 4 over pricing, you really have an opportunity to mark up 3 to 5 times and make that much of a better ring at the register. I know if you look at the average customer out there that I work with, they probably average anywhere from $25 to $30 per transaction at the register. Large format gives you an opportunity to increase that 3 to 5 times more. So we're all looking to try to make money in this game, and we're doing it for fun. We're doing it for community, but in the end, it's all about making money, and large format gives you an opportunity to increase your business that way.
And I see it a little differently with inflation and interest rates this year. I think the margins are staying about where they are. I think they're staying, on some large format between 40 and 80, and some of the lower priced or costed large format like Coroplast, it's going to stay 100 to 200% somewhere in there. But what it does is it gives you some other way to grow your business during a tough year. So our average print customer, I believe, can grow their business with their existing customers around 20-25% by using us. And an average promo customer can grow their revenue from existing promo customers by about 30+% by expanding print. So battling inflation can be done by expanding your existing customer base with other products.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. Jeff and Joe cover different territories within the United States. So, obviously what Jeff said, it pertains to that territory, right? And what Joe said pertains to his territory. And I think that's a good key bit of information for you guys watching, which is it really depends on the area that you're in. And I think doing that research of what other printers are out there, if you have strong competition, obviously, and I think Joe, you would probably know this since you're on the East Coast, but in Florida and Miami, the competition is insane, right? Sort of like what it is in Los Angeles, where everyone is trying to beat each other up on price. But in the areas where there's less area, less population, more rural, you do have that leeway to be able to kind of pad the margins a little bit further. So I think that's a really good way to kind of frame that conversation. All right.
Yeah, I think real quick,
yeah.
before we move on, I think what Joe and I were talking about are two different things. I think, and both are valid. I think what I was talking about on an individual SKU level or individual product level, looking at that sale and getting 3 to 5 times the cost for that particular product. Joe's points are valid in that, yes, that does increase your overall business by outsourcing that work. And so again, the 20 to 30% increase by using outsourced vendors is absolutely there. And again, obviously looking at the individual products that you're selling and what that markup can give you is anywhere from 3 to 5 times. So that's what I think was good about that conversation, is it's coming in a couple different directions.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I don't want you guys to battle it out already.
No, I think together we make a hell of a team. So,
All right.
We make one good manager between us.
That's true. All right. So next question is going to be, what do you think the most important value prop of large format is to the end user, to the retail market, right? Like, do you think that it's the quality of it? Do you think that it's even the size, maybe the size of it, or is it the cost, right? Is it more susceptible to the end user to go with something that costs less because it might be temporary, or what do you guys think you see from your customers as kind of being the primary motivator to purchase that? And Jeff, we'll start with you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I think really what a good value prop for this is that it just, again, we talked about stickiness, but I think it gives you a much broader base to sell your customer. So they're looking for a one-stop shop. If they have to go to 4 different, vendors to pick up 4 different items with 4 different invoices and all the other challenges that come across from that, you are that expert for that community, for that customer. You have everything that they need when you add large format, when you add stickers, when you add, all the different products that 4over can provide. Again, it gets you deeper and wider within that customer and your community, and it gives you, again, a better chance to not lose that business to a competitor because you're already selling them throughout the entire organization.
So that value that you see is that one-stop capability of, kind of, sort of like what we talked about in the beginning, where it's one person that is the key point to that one customer, and that end user is like, you tell me what to do, right? Like you are the expert. You're the one who's handling all my marketing. I'd love for you guys to tell me how I can be better within my own space.
Correct.
Joe, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think branding is crucial. So if you're using a cheap product and you're putting a cheap product up in your stores, like clings and flags and posters and retractables, and they look terrible, they're not going to think much of your store. But if you're using a good, high quality product, there's a couple things that happen. It's going to look really good, and you can brand the way you want to brand your company on those large format products. And you can also show them that not only do you sell these, but you use them yourself. And here's what it looks like. And I've bought this retractable, and I've bought this window cling, and I bought this floor graphic, that sort of thing. And nothing sells better than using the product yourself. So that's where I would go with a retail operation.
That's a good point too. There's a statistic that the regulars watching have probably seen before, which I think is, and I'm going to butcher this statistic, but I think it's 65% of a retail person will more likely visit a store or buy a product if they see a high quality sign on that retail establishment. So I think that's very true. Obviously, I think large format covers a wide area of purposes. It's very use case based. So if that customer is looking for something very temporary, maybe a cheap one isn't too bad, right? But if they're decorating their retail space or their corporate building or something more like aluminum, a contour cut, would be better in that case to be able to outfit that sort of solution.
Sure, and we're not talking about EDDM, but I'll tell you, I mean, it's an effective tool for retail because you can send out very inexpensively the fact that you're in the large format business via EDDM. Hey, I'm in the poster business now. I'm in the large format business. I'm selling banners this month, and they're 10% off or whatever you set for your deal. So you're letting the world know via very inexpensive print product that you're in the large format business now, and your customers and your prospects around you are going to know that with EDDM. So I thought I'd throw in a plug for that.
I love EDDM talk. That's
When's that next webinar, Jose?
I know you do. And I know my customers do. I think my 90% of my most successful franchises use EDDM as part of their marketing strategy.
Absolutely.
There's a plug for Jose's favorite product.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah.
You
guys know watching EDDM full service. If you haven't checked it out, for sure, go check it out because it's super good, super as they're saying.
Yeah, and you took that right out of my notes here, Joe. But the other thing that I see too is when they put like if you have flyers that you're putting in with orders that people are picking up, if you have mailboxes, doing some mailbox stuffers, certainly letting them know. But to Joe's point again, have the product in your store that you want to sell. So things like I've walked into customer stores and they have a sign that says, "Do you like this sign? Order one here." Do you want to get your business noticed? Let Coral signs tell your story. So again, have that in there. Let them know that you have that product, and let them, again, do the touchy feely. We're all tactile people. And so, having that there for them to see the quality, and again, not cheap, but affordable.
Very true. Yeah. That key wording, right? Like that's a marketing thing, right? Where key wording is very crucial. You don't want to say cheap. You don't want to say inexpensive. You want to say budget friendly. That might be one way, so. All right, cool. I like that where that was heading. Let's talk about the more popular products. What are the large format items that you guys see your networks asking more for? So is it like kind of the traditional banners and kind of coroplast stuff, or do you see these like kind of key highlights that people might be asking for that they might want to get into more often? Jeff, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, again, I think to your point, outdoor banners in general, Coral signs are the catalyst of this category. I think they're the most popular and the ones that my customers use every day. But I think what's really come back in a big way is trade show and events. So farmers markets, if you're working with any hospitality, if you're not, get in there, get with them. Any youth organizations, those sorts of things where they have events, things like retractable banners, window and floor graphics, and directional signage are really a big driver of this category in markets nowadays, just because, again, we're starting to get back to normal. Everything's, all of these events, and they need large signs and large format to promote it and guide people where to go.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I mean, you guys know we had a hell of a year yesterday or the last year, and we did, I think 30 shows or maybe even more shows last year because everything just came back all at once. And I think that's a really good thing to point out. And I think one thing to add to that is don't think of trade shows as an exhibit, like you have to have an exhibit, right? If you have a 10 by 10, you can do what we do at these shows, which is you put a backdrop banner in the back of your booth. You have a retractable or maybe a fabric tube display in the front, and you have your table with all your materials, right? Like you can provide that through us. That is completely outsourceable. You don't have to go to an exhibiting company, relatively inexpensive to get into a trade show and out of a trade show. So I think those are some key things too. And then also everything else that comes along with the trade show, right? Which is the brochures, the flyers, the business cards, presentation folders, whatever it might be. Even event tickets. We use event tickets a lot to do raffles. So keep those things in mind. All of those things can come from you, the customer, right? Our customer. You can produce all those things and you can outsource it to Forver and we can produce it for you all for that one singular event. So you don't have to go to multiple vendors to achieve that. Joe, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, the other, excuse me, the other category that's coming back hard is education. With the colleges, high schools coming back with their sports and their banners and their plays and their meetings that they have and their clubs that they have, graduation. I mean, it's an endless stream of revenue for the entire year as the educational system cycles. Then you have all the youth sports. Those were in Jeff's notes I saw. All these youth sports that mesh banners on the fences and advertisers buying that space on the fence. So, you can provide those banners that they're selling and they're marking it up and you're selling them to the league and all the teams chip in their, community money to buy them and everybody's happy and they all know who you are. And those parents, a lot of them are business people that are going to get to know you as you're supplying their kids with sports equipment or not equipment, but print.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I have my son in baseball. He's 4 years old now, but I have my son in baseball and I just did their banner, for the team banners. That's a good one. And a lot of these are sometimes like they want you to, maybe do it on a discounted rate or something, but you can still make a pretty decent profit because it's not just one team, right? It's the whole league sometimes that you're covering. So I think that's a good way to get into a league. And then once you're there, the stickiness begins, right? Where they're not going to want to go anywhere. They're not going to want to find a new vendor, whatever. They know you, they trust you, they like you. They're going to keep doing business with you. So I think that's a really good one too, as well.
Yeah, if you're marking something up 80%, I think you can with good conscience, market it as being on sale at 15% off, and you take your markup from 80% to 65% for a month.
Be nice
and
to the
kids. With good conscience, you can advertise a 15% off sale.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to give that away either, right? I mean, if it's a youth sports event or if it's an event that you're doing something that's on a grander scale, certainly, offer a chance to do that with your logo maybe attached to the materials.
That's
that
a
way,
good point. Yeah,
people see you. Again, these are communities, and you're building relationships with people with young kids. They're going to be coming back year after year for the next 10, 15 years. So
yeah,
again,
that's a really good point. Co-branding to get the discount, co-brand, and then that way everybody's going to see your logo, right? It's a great advertising opportunity because, I mean, there's hundreds of people who go to these games and all the parents are invested. They're going to see your logo multiple times in addition to whatever is actually on the banner, right? So I think that's a really good point. All right, last question for you guys. Do you have any good large format success stories? Like, do you think that you've seen within your network somebody who either hasn't started or didn't start with large format and then added it to their services and then they, kind of blew up all of a sudden? Or do you think there's any customers that you've seen that have done large format and then kind of started to expand a little bit further and then maybe found a niche? I think that would be super valuable for our viewers to hear. And Jeff, I'll start with you again.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, well, one of them that I had, and Joe, thanks for bringing it up, was the youth sports, specifically around baseball, and looking at that exact thing that we talked about, the banner program. If you look at the starting price on our website for a 3x5, which is 15 square feet, the customer recognized and had been, realizing that revenue opportunity was there with youth sports. And again, not just baseball, but AYSO and all the other programs that are around. So looking at the 3x5 banner, which is on our site for about $28.15, with the grommets, with the hemming, just a beautiful piece for each of the teams. There's about 10 teams in each division and about 5 divisions within this local Little League that was using them for the banners. So with that, their costs ran somewhere around, the price was $2,500. They were charging $50 for the banner. Now there's like 13 kids on a team, so it's less than $3 per kid. So, it was a great opportunity for them to get an inexpensive banner. The store was making about $21 per banner on a $28 cost. So the profit that they made on that was over $1,000, almost $1,100. So again, without a lot of effort, with just basically 50 files, pretty basic program. The ring at the register was $2,500, and they profited over $1,100 or about $1,100. And that format right there is just a wash, rinse, repeat program. You can put it in play anywhere else. So again, when you're looking at expanding and increasing the revenue that you have for each transaction, this was a great example of what that could represent.
Awesome. All right, Joe, do you have one?
Yeah, I'll give you an example of where discovery is so important. So I have a large promo customer, and they were providing the promo things for the biggest cosmetics company on the planet. And the customer was asking, what can I do to win some of their print? And I was telling them, why don't you find out a little bit more about who's supplying their print, what they're paying for a banner, what they're paying for a fabric tube display, what they're paying for retractables, things like that. Find out if the customer is happy with that, etc. So they did a discovery, and we actually gave them a list of questions to ask. And turns out we priced those things, and it's about 75 salespeople doing in-store displays in cosmetics, like in the Macy's of the world and things like that, about every other month. So it's 180 something displays a year for these 75 people that they have to build out every other month. So that's just a revenue dream if you can get a customer like that. So we ended up saving them on the print for all of their entire displays that they're putting up in stores 70% from what they were paying. Wow. And it's going to get us over 300,000 in revenue this year, and it's going to save them 700,000 in spend. So they couldn't love us more, and they're going to go out and try and sell this solution to all their other brands. So this really could be big over the course of the next couple of years, just by discovering what was happening today and how you can make it better.
That's great. Yeah. I think it's sorry, my dogs. I do think it's a good. Hold on. I'm gonna cut this, obviously. Girls.
Yeah, way to go, Joe. Way to trump my $1,000 with $300,000.
He let you go first for every question, so
I'm more than happy to bring up, the thousands of dollars that we can definitely do or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's good that you kind of see both sides of it, because obviously not everybody is connected to the big names and the big brands and all that stuff. If you are, the opportunity is much higher, as kind of Joe explained, right? Where it's like you can get into this super valuable niche, super valuable customer, and provide them with this like very repetitive business that will go on throughout the years, and even the possibility to expand. Whereas, somebody that's not connected, that baseball story is super good. I think for a local person who maybe hasn't even thought about doing large format, that local story is a really great one, because all you got to do is really talk to these people and find out what they're doing, how they're doing it, who's doing it, what the pricing is, and these are just normal questions. If you can get connected to the right person to find out these things, I think it could go super well, as Jeff and Joe explained. So that was some really good information. Do you guys want to add anything to, the large format discussion that we're having?
I think if you're not doing it, then again, as we said before, there isn't a ton difference between the print business that you might be doing today and adding large format because the file setups and all the different things that you'll need to be successful in that space are almost identical. So do yourself a favor, expand your offerings, be stickier. I'm going to keep using that word. Have an opportunity to get deeper and wider within your customers. Again, it's all about business at this point. We all need to increase our revenues. And again, the only way we can do that is through expanding our customer base, either within the customers that we currently have, or to go out and get new customers, and providing new services like large format are gonna help you do that.
Yeah, good point. It is much less expensive to sell somebody that you already have in your book of business on something new, right? It is much more difficult, as you guys know, much more difficult, much more expensive to be able to get a new customer. If your customers are not doing large format with you, they're doing it somewhere, right? They are doing it somewhere. So it's good to ask those questions. Joe, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a healthy mix. 80% of your business should be with your existing customers, trying to get them to grow 1 or 2 products a year. And that's your revenue stream for existing without them stagnating. And then the 20% should be new prospecting and new business that you put into a routine. And if a lot of them are people that have turned you down for flyers and business cards in the past, now you can use white label marketing, throw your logo on it, and tell them you're in the large format business now. Give me a try with some posters and banners and see how competitive my pricing is. So I think you can have a healthy mix of existing customers, and that should be the majority, trying to get them to grow because they're cheaper, less expensive rather. Sorry, Jose. But you don't want to shut off that stream of new customers either. Because you don't want to shut off that stream of new customers either. So I think like a 75, 25, 80, 20 split will keep your business growing the way you want it to grow year over year.
Awesome.
Hey, look, and if you have large format capabilities now, I mean, a lot of times, again, this is going out broadcasting to our entire network. So obviously some of you may have large format capabilities. I promise you though, you don't have the machines that we do that can offer, 150 foot long banners. So I think it's a good opportunity while you're selling, using your machines to keep them running, do that on time, right away type service. But that does give you a chance to ask that next level question. What else do you have? Do you have things? Do you have bigger needs for this? We can do giant runs. We can have all that capability now. We've made the investment for you, put it to work.
Yeah, and that is something that I did miss in here. Let me just ask the question and then I'll hopefully cut it in. You both have customers who have produced large format in-house. What do those customers like to order from Forever, right? So obviously the audience is, as Jeff mentioned, a mix of large format and, of in-house work and outsourcing fully, or maybe a mix of both, right? What are some of the key things and benefits you see of somebody who's doing in-house and maybe outsourcing a couple things here and there? What are the benefits of actually doing that, with Forever, or what are the benefits of even doing things in-house at all? Jeff, you can go first.
I'll let Joe go because he hasn't gone first.
That's we'll give Joe a first timer. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of benefits. First of all, we respect if you're a printer that you're producing large format and you're delivering the work quickly, etc. Excuse me. But I mean, if somebody wants to order 500 banners 10 feet by 5 feet, that's going to cripple your operation, and that's something we can do, in less than a week. And if somebody orders 15,000 Coro signs, we can print 10 Coro signs every 90 seconds on the equipment we have. So we're going to blast through 15,000 Coro signs. We also have machines that can do raised spot UV finishing that are very expensive, and we have machines, that can do UV coating, and the UV coating machines are very expensive. So you can raise the level of product that you have without buying those super expensive pieces of equipment.
Yeah, high volume is...
And when they're busy, they can send us work so they don't get backlogged. That's the other thing. If you're an existing print shop, we're an arm of your operation. So if you get 200% of your normal workflow, figure out what's the most inconvenient thing for you to do and send it to us. And that's another way we can help them.
And that's a great way to see it, right? Where Forever is really just another printer or another, actual press within your facility, right? Looking at that operation and seeing where the efficiencies are, where you can save some money, look, kind of combining those services, and not really considering Forever as like an outsourcer, but more adding to your machinery that you're already doing in-house. I think that's a really good way to put it. Because it really is, right? Like, you shouldn't really consider it, even though it is outsourcing, those capabilities are yours. All of those capabilities that we can bring and provide to the table, the high runs, the contour cutting, the different types of materials, and you don't got to stock it in your facility. You can outsource that to us, and then we can do it. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it any better. And then I think, let us be the outsource, or let us be that partner for you. I think that's the key word there is partnership. Again, we've made the investments in machines that can do things quicker, can do things, in grander scale. So, obviously, as Joe said, if you're do that, save your machines, use them, keep them running on that, right now type projects. If you got a day or two, again, most of our signage and most of the things that you'll see in our large format are next day turn with $10 next day ship. I think that's an important piece that probably a lot of people don't know that we offer. But you can get Coro, you can get banners for $10 ship next day with next day production. So there's really no disruption in your customers' needs and your workflow. Use us, use the machinery, and all the money and time that we've spent getting that resource for you. So
and good point. No, low disruption or even zero disruption, right? Like what you just said about the next day availability for banners and coroplast especially. We can turn that around next day. You can get the $10 flat rate, next day shipping on top of that. So maximum turnaround time is going to be 2 to 3 days that you're going to have that, sometimes even faster, that you're going to have that piece within your shop. So there's not that, the disruption rate is very low on that. And then also another thing that Jeff mentioned about saving your machinery for those on-demand jobs. Those on-demand jobs give you much bigger margins, much bigger margins. And if you can offload the stuff that can wait a little bit, that your customers can wait on, leave that machine available for somebody who's running in the door. Because, as you guys, the viewers know, and Jeff and Joe know, everybody needs everything next day. Everybody needs everything right now. So if you don't have that machine available because you're printing something that you kind of lagged on or whatever, that's a stopping point, right? If the guy comes in and they need a banner in a couple of hours, you could have had that machine available. You could have charged them, 10 times as much, right? So just think about that when you're thinking about those efficiencies. Having Forever as an arm of your production, your overall look at your production, capabilities. Yeah. All right.
Well, I think they all want us to have a time machine for yesterday delivery.
That's very true. I know. Yeah, I'm sure everybody kind of wants that, right? Everybody needs it yesterday.
I needed it yesterday.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to point out in closing is that, think about it next time you're thinking about buying a big machine and needing a bigger piece of real estate and paying a higher lease. I mean, you could solve that issue another way, and that's using Forever as your outsourced vendor, because we can do it without you paying that extra few thousand a month in rent.
Yeah.
And we do 4 million jobs a year, 15,000 a day. There's a reason we get that much work from people that are in the print business. So we welcome your business, and we welcome to consult with you and to talk about how we can make things better.
Very true. Yeah. And I think, the economy, everyone's questioning the economy right now. Everyone's kind of worried about it. Whether you're outsourcing to Forever or maybe somebody else, or you just haven't done any outsourcing yet, I think it's worth it to look at outsourcing as a good solution to maybe alleviate what Joe mentioned, some of that cost, some of those issues, and see if outsourcing might be the answer to that. So yeah, that's a really good point. All right. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Joe, for joining me today. Thank you to all the viewers. I will kick it back to my future self right now. So thank you so much. And hopefully you guys like this format. If you did like it, let us know and maybe we'll do it again. All right. Thank you, guys.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
See you.